All right, let's talk about one of those kitchen rules you've probably heard your whole life. It sparked some pretty heated debates and maybe even a little bit of fear. The big question, should you ever, and I mean ever, mix milk and fish?
You've heard the warning, right? But is this just an old wives' tale that needs busting? Or is there actually some solid science behind it? We're going to break down both sides of this, well, this very fishy story.
So let's start where this whole thing usually begins, right in the family kitchen, probably with a warning from a concerned parent or grandparent.
Sound familiar? This is the core belief we're digging into. And the fear isn't just about getting a little indigestion. No. It's about a really specific, kind of scary outcome.
I mean, think about this story about a guy named Ajay. Growing up, his mom was constantly telling him, don't do it. But then, college happens, he finds himself with a tuna pizza and a glass of milk. He goes for it and, you guessed it, absolutely nothing happened. And that clash right there between a super stern childhood warning and the real world is exactly why we need to talk about this.
Ajay's experience really makes you wonder. So let's step out of the kitchen for a minute and head into the lab. What does the actual scientific evidence have to say about this?
And the answer is pretty darn clear. The scientific community has found zero concrete proof that eating fish and milk together causes skin problems like vitiligo. That's a condition where you lose skin color in patches. So right off the bat, that's a huge weight off our shoulders.
So if it's not the combination itself, then why do some people swear they feel sick after? Well, science points to a couple of other culprits. If you happen to have a specific allergy to fish, or maybe you're lactose intolerant, then yeah, you might get a rash or an upset stomach. But that's because of your own individual body, not because the two foods create some kind of toxic death potion when they're mixed. And really, if you just stop and think about it, cuisines from all over the world happily combine fish and dairy. We're talking creamy fish chowders, salmon with a beautiful cream sauce, the classic tuna melt loaded with cheese. People have been loving this combo for centuries without any problems.
Okay, but if science says it's totally fine, where in the world did this warning even come from? Well, the answer might be in a completely different way of looking at food, the ancient system of Ayurveda.
See, in Ayurveda, foods aren't just about proteins and carbs. They have their own energies. And in this system, milk is seen as having a cooling effect on the body. Fish, on the other hand, is considered heating.
So from this point of view, the problem isn't about poison. It's all about balance. The idea is that when you combine a cooling food with a heating one, you create this imbalance, like you're confusing your digestive system, and that might lead to some discomfort. It's a logic based on keeping harmony inside your body.
And this is the key. The Ayurvedic advice is all about being precautionary. It's a recommendation for wellness, for keeping that digestive balance. It's not a warning against a scientifically proven danger.
Okay, so we've got the scientific angle, we've got the traditional perspective, and we've got real-world experience. Let's put it all together and figure out the final verdict here.
So here's the breakdown. You've got science, which basically says, not toxic, any problems are from allergies or lactose intolerance. Then you've got the traditional view, which says, it's an improper combo that could cause imbalance, so maybe be careful. And then you have real-world users who are just like, it's an old-school myth, now pass the tuna melts.
And that traditional belief is still very, very much alive. Like this one Reddit user points out that in India, the idea that this combo causes skin issues is just common knowledge for a lot of people. It's just accepted.
But then, on the flip side, you get the direct counter-argument. Another user just flat-out calls it a very old-school myth, and even gives a delicious example, salmon with cream sauce, as proof that it's not just safe, it's amazing.
And finally, you get this, which is kind of the ultimate real-world test. Someone who ate fish and milk together almost every single day for 2 years straight. The result? Absolutely nothing. That's a pretty powerful personal experiment.
So here's the bottom line. The warning against mixing milk and fish comes from a traditional system that's all about digestive harmony. And you know what? It has its own logic. But modern science has looked at it and found no evidence of any real danger. So unless you personally have an allergy or an intolerance, you're in the clear.
And that really leads to one last thought. This whole thing shows how a belief can stick around for generations even when the evidence says otherwise. It kind of makes you wonder, what other food rules that you follow without question might just be myths waiting to be debunked?